boat that. He just had it from new. It's a Van der Stad something. He put the cuddy on it, and he put the transom hung rudder on it. It used to be under the boat. And I'm sure there's 100 other modifications he's made to it over the years. And he's been everywhere in that.
So it's a glorious day for a sail. It's the middle of April, and according to the weather for Met Office or whatever, it's the best April weather for 70 years or something. And I can believe it. Although it's only 14 degrees at the moment, it's going to be 20 plus, which for the UK, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but for the UK that's brilliant for April. It's also a good wind. It's only 6-8 knots, which doesn't sound fantastic, but I've decided to go. My plan for the day sailing is to go out with the tide, wait for the tide to turn, or go as far as I can before the tide turns, and then I'll come back. So 6 to 8 knots with a couple of knots of tide and a few knots of boat speed gives me well, 13.5 knots true at the moment. Sorry, apparent at the moment, which is beautiful. I've only got the number 3 jib on because that's the one that's on the boat. Got the full main up obviously, and it's just a boat sailing brilliantly, really nicely set up. And it's a fantastic day for a sail. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll take a shot of it in a minute. I've got a new gimbal I'm trying on the camera on the back as well. It looks a bit weird on that long arm, but the idea is that as the boat heels over, and because the camera's up high, it kind of effectively the camera moves to the side of the boat. So I thought if I put it on a gimbal and keep it upright, it'll hopefully keep the boat more in the middle of the shot. I won't know until I get home how well it's worked. So far it looks good on this tack, but not very good on the other tack. I think it's because I'm more side onto the wind on the other tack, and the wind blows the camera more than the counterbalance on the bottom and stuff, but I don't know. You be the judge. Let me know in the comments, because you'll have had a chance to see the effect it's having. I can't tell at the moment, but let me know, has it worked or not worked? Anyway, I'm halfway down river now because, to be frank, it's too nice a day to be filming. You don't get days like this, and I just want to enjoy the sail to start with. So apart from filming a bit of Peter, which I expect you've seen at the start of this film, I didn't really film much. A beautiful day though. The only problem with going out with the tide is, as you'll have already realised if you've watched me on films, there's a lot of mud on the east coast, and of course when you're going out with the tide there's even more mud. Time to tack. I'd like to point out this step. If you've got a boat like ours, I mean, I don't like a spray hood because when you're racing and even if you're just sailing for pleasure, it just gets in the way, and I like to have good control and good visibility and stuff. But equally, there's still times when you want to sit down, you want to keep out of the wind. So I like to sit in the companionway hatch, because especially if Elizabeth and Hannah are down below, I can kind of be with them, still be out sailing and so forth, but keep out of the wind. So I made this step out of a bit of old decking and a bit of cheap plywood, a bit of cheap pine timber sort of thing. I know it's just odd offcuts in it's in the garage, given all a coat of this wood skin that we use on all the timber, which I really ought to do again. And then this lip hooks over the lip on the companionway, stops it sliding around, and it's very comfortable to sit on. Another one of those little things, doesn't cost anything, but If you've got a boat similar to ours, strongly recommend it. Makes it easier stepping in and out as well because you've got a big area to stand on. It's good. Anyway, there's not a lot of point to this film really. You're just going to watch me having a nice sail. I don't imagine it's going to be the last time I'm going to see this boat this year, but this is the first time this year. It's the Montgomery, the wreck that's off the entrance to the Thames. It's full of high explosives. I've done a film about it before. Anyway, I've decided that's my course of the day, around the Montgomery, taking it to port, and then I'm going back to home. It's low tide now, the tide's basically on the turn. So, might get spinnaker up. Let's get around this first though. Peter on his way up. So the spinnaker hoist was a bit more painful than it needed to be. It went up with a really tight wine glass in it, which was a bit of a pain, and I had a sailing school boat coming at me on port, although I was the windward boat on port. Oh. Always happens when the camera's on. There's a buoy, so I had to bear away a tiny bit, and it was a touch too much for the kite, which collapsed. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I was windward boat on port, they were on port, and they made a beeline for me, which meant I couldn't bear away enough to get shake the wine glass out, which is a bit of a pain. You would have hoped, being a sailing school boat, they'd have, you know, it'd have been a bit more obvious that a boat with a spinnaker up tangled around the forestay and a wine glass, and it wasn't in, you know, you might want to give them a bit of room, but anyway, not complaining. Anyway, it's up now, it's perfect. We were creaming along as we went through it, over 7 knots over the ground, because the tide's coming in now through the entrance to the Medway. I've still got 10 knots of wind, 10-12 knots of wind, but of course my apparent with the tide is only 3 or 4 knots. So that's lovely for flying the kite. Hopefully I can hold it all the way back. Just starting to warm up now as well, because now I've turned around and there's not much wind. The sun's shining on me and it's getting hot. It's can't see it. It's only 14 degrees, but it's nice. Wasn't the best jibe in the world. I'm clearly rusty. I've got new spinnaker sheets, so my marks are different now, and I think got to kind of find the sweet spot again. But anyway, it's 15 knots true wind now, so 10 knots apparent, and I'm going to be back before lunch at this rate, or by lunch, which is a bit earlier than I planned really, but you know, I didn't really want to be out there punching against the tide anymore than I had to. Kind of had a good sail, so it's alright. Anyway, 7 knots over the ground at the moment.
It's the gas unloading or whatever dock over there with an exclusion zone around it. We've been told off before for being too close to that. Clearly it doesn't apply to everyone.
And so this is kind of it really. It's just a nice day on the water. I've had a good 15-16 knots of true wind for some of this run, but it's now dropped back off to 10, so I'm coasting along now at the speed I expect it to be. But I'll still be home before 2, so that'll be alright.